Running 26.2 miles is one of the most physical, intimidating challenges in the world. But simply crossing a marathon finish line will be an achievement you'll remember for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter how fast you are, with the right training plan, understanding your long runs and getting your fueling locked in, that marathon finishing line is well within your reach. Less than 1% of the global population will ever complete a marathon. So just by taking this on, you're doing something extraordinary. So first of all, congratulations. So I've just finished an easy run. So let me catch my breath, then I'll sit down and we'll go through exactly how we're gonna make you conquer your race. But first of all, we need to figure out whether you're actually at the right starting line. The secret to running a marathon, especially if it's your first, isn't about running fast, it's about running smart. But before you download that training plan, it's good to understand whether you're ready to actually start. Now, it really depends where you're starting from, whether you're a new runner or a more experienced runner. But a good benchmark is, if you can run comfortably a 5K or 10K without feeling absolutely broken, it means you're ready to take on the marathon training block. And don't worry if you're not quite at those levels just yet, especially if you're a new runner. Just add in a few extra weeks, maybe a couple of months before your training starts with easy jogging, just to get yourself up to that level before you can officially start your marathon training. And once you have that base, the next question will be, how much time do you need to dedicate to the plan? A typical training block for a marathon lasts anywhere between 14 and 18 weeks. And if this is your first marathon, 18 weeks will be long enough to get you ready for the big day. There's enough weeks in there to build your body up, to safely build up the distance of your runs, and to get your joints, tendons and muscles ready for the impact. By the end of the 18 weeks, you will be ready. So let's break down exactly what you'll be doing on a week-to-week basis during your training. Most beginner training plans will have you running 3, maybe 4 times a week. You don't have to run every single day. When you first start, your total mileage for a week will be around about 30 kilometers over all of your runs. The absolute best way to avoid injury and burnout is the 10% rule. You should never increase your weekly total distance by more than 10% compared to the previous week. And the majority of your week, especially in the first 4 to 6 weeks of your training plan, it will have you running easy runs, and they are exactly as they sound. These are runs that will be ran at a conversational pace, maybe for 30, 40 or even 50 minutes. If you're out of breath when you're doing these runs, if you're running with a fellow runner and you can't converse with them, it means you're going too fast, so you need to slow down. And when you're training without maybe a marathon time goal in mind, the most important metric isn't pace, it's consistency. Marathon training, especially for your first marathon, is all about consistency. Simply showing up and getting those easy miles done week on week is the secret to crossing that marathon finish line. But remember, life happens. Family, work, you feel run down. So don't worry if you need to skip 1 or 2 runs. It's not going to affect your overall fitness levels. And don't try and cram in extra runs the next day. Just start from where you left off. As the weeks tick by, you might want to start to introduce something called uphill repeats. And uphill repeats are really good because they simulate longer distances because you're running uphill. It uses different muscles and joints that you would normally run on a flat surface. Very good for running form, running posture and building strength. Every time I've introduced uphill repeats in my training plan for my marathons, I've always done really well at the end of it. So uphill repeats can be something like 5 times 200 meters uphill with a walk back down, maybe 8 times 150 meters uphill and a walk back down. But those shorter runs are leading up to the most important day of your training week. The staple of all marathon training plans, the long run. Don't ever skip your long runs if you can help it. And don't be daunted when you look at your training plan and you see figures like 25 kilometers, 13 miles, 15 miles. Don't worry about it. By the time you get to those weeks, your body will be ready. So you'll be typically starting your weekly training with your long runs starting off around about 10, maybe 12 kilometers, increasing gradually and slowly over the weeks to the 32 kilometer mark. And you'll usually hit those peak distances about 3 weeks out from your marathon. So this is the time where you may want to bring in an extra race. Maybe you want to do a 10K race or a half marathon to see where your fitness levels are at. After your peak distance week, you'll then enter what's called the taper. This is where you drastically cut back on the distance of your runs and your total weekly mileage, which is helping your legs and body to rest, recover and recuperate. Here is the golden rule. If it's your first marathon, your long runs should be done at an easy pace. If it's your second or third marathon, you may want to introduce some kind of marathon pace, maybe at the latter stages of your long runs. But if you're a new beginner marathon runner, easy effort for your long runs. And if you're training for an autumn marathon, that may mean you'll be running your long runs during the hot and humid summer months. Don't worry if you can't hit those 32 kilometers. Run by time rather than distance. I live in Abu Dhabi and in the summer it can reach 45C plus. So typically I would run somewhere between 2.5, maybe 3 hours rather than trying to achieve 32 kilometers. Remember, running a marathon, your training should be all about time on feet. Naturally, this leads to a question that all new marathon runners usually ask as the long runs get longer in distance. That's a big no. A lot of runners ask and question that if I'm not running 42.2 kilometers in my training, how on earth will I know I'll be able to do it on marathon race day? Don't do it in your training. Save it until the big day. On the day, the adrenaline, the excitement, the crowd, your fitness levels will get you through that last 10 kilometers. There are many reasons why you shouldn't do this. Two of the biggest are injury and recovery. The further you run in your training, as you get closer to that marathon distance, the chance of injury rises. And if you get injured as you're halfway through your training block, you may be out of action for 2, 3 or more weeks. When you run a marathon, it takes days to recover. So if you attempt that distance in your training, you'll be out of action maybe for 10 days, and we don't want that. Save the marathon distance for the big day. And as the weeks tick by, you may want to introduce some variety in your runs. You may want to introduce what we call speed sessions. And those are typically either interval sessions, fartleks, or tempo runs. Interval sessions are basically where you run a bit fast and then you slow down. So examples are, maybe you want to run 8 times 400 meters and then rest for 90 seconds. Or maybe you want to run 6 by 800 meters and walk for a minute. Fartleks are very similar, but usually over a slightly longer distance. Fartleks is a Swedish word meaning speed play, and that's exactly what they are. You make up how far and how fast you run. So maybe you want to run a little bit fast for 1 kilometer and then ease off for the next 2 kilometers, and you would repeat this a few times. Fartleks are really, really fun and a good way to mix up your variety of your runs. A tempo run, again, slightly longer than fartleks and intervals, and are usually run at a slightly faster pace. So maybe you want to run 5K or maybe 30, 40, 50 minutes at a slightly faster pace than you would normally do your easy runs. Only do speed sessions if you want to, if you're comfortable. They are best done on a track, but they don't have to. If you find an open road where it's safe and easy to do these types of speed sessions, you don't have to, especially if it's your first marathon. Now that we've covered some of the training runs that you'd be expected to do over the 18 weeks, let's talk about what you need to wear during your training and the marathon itself. You're going to need a pair of good running shoes, maybe a couple of pairs. And these running shoes don't have to be the latest models. Doesn't have to be the most expensive pair of running shoes, especially if you're a new beginner marathon runner. Find a pair of running shoes that fit both your pocket and your running style. Comfort over expense. And don't worry, you don't need to buy carbon plated shoes. Save those carbon plated shoes for your third and fourth marathons, of which there will be. Get yourself down to a local running store where most of the staff will be runners, so they'll understand your situation. You're a first-time marathon runner. You want something that you're going to wear on a day-to-day basis that's going to be comfortable and fit and suit your running style. Invest in a good GPS watch. Again, it doesn't have to be the latest model. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. Coros, Garmin and Suunto have a wide range that suit beginner runners. As long as it tracks GPS, distance, heart rate, time, and if you need it to, pace, that is good enough. For the first 8 of my 12 marathons, I wore a watch that was over 7 years old, and it made no difference to my training or my marathon experience. And if you have an Apple Watch, that is really good at tracking runs, so don't feel you have to spend money on a dedicated running watch. Aside from the gear, one thing you absolutely must get right during your training and the marathon itself is what you're putting in your body. To conquer the marathon, you should be refueling every 30 to 45 minutes and hydrating regularly. That may mean taking an energy gel or a chew or a carbohydrate drink frequently throughout the marathon. Most energy gels you've seen on the market usually have 22 grams to 30 grams of carbs. Carbs equals fuel. You'll be needing to take an energy gel frequently to keep you going right until the end of the marathon. And a tip that I only discovered after running 3 marathons is don't consume the entire gel in one big gulp. Sip it slowly over several minutes. This just gives your stomach time to process the carbs and helps you avoid any GI stress that you may experience. Make sure you practice with your energy gels, especially on your long runs. That's what they're there for. They're not only trying to train you to run far distances, they are there to train your gut and how you respond to energy gels. So practice, sample a few different types of energy gels and find and stick to one that suits you. And if you can, find out what energy gels, if any, are available on the marathon course, as you may want to purchase those and use those in your training to practice with. Do not wait until marathon race day to see whether your stomach can handle a certain brand of gel, because it most likely won't. And speaking of fueling, you might be wondering what you need to actually do when you're out on the course and you need to consume gel or drink water. Yes, absolutely yes. One of the smartest things a new runner can do is strategically walk. Walk through every single aid station and water station. It gives you a chance to actually hydrate yourself without spilling the water all over the place. And it gives your body a 30-second rest. And it also lowers your heart rate. There is absolutely no shame in having a walk during a marathon. In fact, managing the exertion like that is a key part of our next topic, making sure you get to the start line in one piece. You'll most likely have 2 or 3 rest days during your training per week. Now these can be complete rest days, or you may want to bring in some kind of active rest, so things like light swimming or walking, but don't do anything too strenuous. The key is rest. Rest is a crucial part of any marathon training plan. Ignore all the no rest day things that you see on social media. Rest and recovery are 2 tools that you have that will get you to cross that finish line. And as time goes on, as the weeks tick by, it's a good idea maybe to introduce some strength and core exercises. So things like squats, lunges, calf raises. So you're activating your glutes, calves and hamstrings on the days when you don't run at all, or on days when the running is really light. You don't want to be doing this any more than 1, maybe 2 times a week. It keeps your body strong for later on in the marathon, when most runners' posture, strength, running form deteriorate. Core and strength work will make you feel stronger as those kilometers tick by. With your body strong and the training done, it now all comes down to what you do on the day itself. When you're a beginner, if you try and run perfectly even splits or negative splits, it's almost impossible to do. And if it's your first marathon, I would not concern yourself too much with pace, with negative splits, positive splits, even splits. You've done all your training, you've been running for 18 weeks. You should know by now what hard effort is compared to easy effort is. But what I would say, the only pacing strategy you need to finish your first ever marathon is to start slow. You'll want to go fast. The crowds, the adrenaline, other runners will make you want to sprint off. Don't do this. Whatever pace feels ridiculously slow at the start, slow it down. You'll thank me for it at kilometer 30, 35 and 40. Conserve your energy for when you need it the most. A marathon is a long way. You don't want to use up all your energy, all your carbs in the first 20 kilometers. To wrap things up, let's cover a few essential rules for making sure you actually enjoy the marathon and enjoy crossing that finish line. In your training, start to believe that you will finish the marathon. Positive mental talk on those long runs. Start to conjure up some mantras, short sentences or words that you can repeat to yourself when things are getting tough out on the course. Give yourself a list of whys. Why are you running this marathon? Is it something personal? Is it for health and fitness reasons? Is it for a challenge? Or is it for somebody else? Tap into those whys when it gets really challenging at kilometers 30 and beyond. Check the weather. Make sure you dress appropriately. Get your bib early. Get a good night's sleep, especially in the 2 nights before. And don't worry if you don't get too much sleep on the night before the marathon. I ran so many marathons with hardly any sleep at all. And guess what? I finished every single one of them. Do your carb loading 2, maybe 3 days out from the marathon. Correctly do your taper 2 weeks out from your marathon. Reduce the weekly distance. Reserve your energy, reserve your legs for the day itself. And if you're at the start line and you're feeling nervous, breathe, practice mindfulness, and remind yourself what you're about to do is an achievement that only 1% of the population have ever done. Also, split the marathon up into sections. If 42.2 kilometers is just too much to mentally process, split the marathon down, maybe into 4 times 10 kilometer sections, 8 by 5 kilometers. 10 miles, 6 miles. Chunking it down just makes it easier to manage. When you're out on your marathon and you're struggling, maybe fixate on something in the distance, maybe a lamppost, maybe another runner, just to take your mind off the challenging moments. And always remind yourself, you've done the training. You can do this. You will cross that finishing line. Think of all the hard work you've done. Stay strong. Keep going when it gets tough and enjoy the moment. This is your victory lap. My name is Paul, 12-time marathon runner, and if you're new to this channel, you'll find lots of videos similar to this. The main focus of the channel is on marathons, so you'll see lots of training that I've done for marathons that I've ran, and lots of tips and tricks and helpful advice, especially if you're a new runner and you're thinking of taking the marathon distance. So check out the channel. Don't forget to click on like. Give us a comment down below. Are you just about to run your first ever marathon? If you are, good luck. So until the next one, I'll see you very soon.